All right, so we are going to talk about parallel lines and transversals. In the picture below, lines X and Y are parallel lines, and line T is a transversal line that intersects them. Okay, so line X and Y, those are parallel. And what I mean by parallel is that they will never touch. Okay, and then we have line T. This is the transversal. This line right here intersects those parallel lines. It cuts across them. Okay, so we have all these angles inside. Okay, and all these angles represent a different kind of angle relationship. So if you look at the angle measures, okay, we have angles A, C, E, and H. All of those angles are the same. They're congruent. So congruent obtuse angles. Okay, and that would be A, C, E, and H. Then we have these angles, B, D, F, and G. Those are also congruent. This next part, it says, label the inside of the parallel lines interior. So interior means inside. So in between these parallel lines, this is the interior. I'm just going to make a note that that means inside. And then on the outside of the region of the parallel lines, this is the exterior or the outside. Okay, so then we move over here to angle pairs. Okay, so a vertical line, okay, this is a pair, or sorry, vertical angles. This is a pair of opposite angles formed by intersecting lines. So in our example right here, some vertical angles would be the ones that are basically across from each other. So right here, A and C, those are vertical angle pairs. They're congruent to each other, right? And then we also have another example. We have F and G. Those are also vertical angles. Let's move into straight angles. Angles that form a straight line. Okay, you can add them up to equal 180 degrees. So a straight line, the degrees from one side of the line to the other side is 180 degrees. This is also called supplementary. Supplementary angles form a straight line, so their total measurement is 180 degrees when they are added together. So some examples in our picture right here, some examples of a straight angle or supplementary angles would be like A and B. If we combined A and B together, that forms a straight line. Some other straight lines I see is not only going left to right, but also going up to down. So right here, angle F and angle H, when those are added together, they create this straight angle right here, this straight line. Okay. The relationship between A and B and F and H is that they are supplementary. They are not congruent, but when they are combined together, they equal 180 degrees. Okay, the next one that we have is alternate interior angles. Okay, it has that word interior, so that means that there are angles inside the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so some examples here would be, so here's my transversal. So they're inside the parallel lines along my transversal and they're opposite of each other. So opposites here would be like D and F. They're on opposite sides of the transversal and they're both inside the parallel lines. So angle D and angle F. And the other set would be the other side of the transversal, so C and E. Okay, and these pairs are actually congruent. The next one that we have is alternate exterior angles. Exterior means outside. So these are the angles outside the parallel lines on opposite sides of the transversal. Okay, so if we look back at our image, some examples of alternate exterior angles would be like angles A, because it's on the outside of my parallel lines and it's along my transversal, so A, and then on the other side of my parallel lines is angle H. Those are opposite of each other outside of our parallel lines. So angle A and angle H. And then the other pair that I have is angle B and angle G. And the relationship between them is that they are congruent. The next one that we have is corresponding angles. These are the angles that are in the same relative position and matching corners. Okay, so what I mean by that, if you're looking at this image, okay, so I have on this one line, okay, I have A on top, D on bottom, B on top, C on bottom. If I look at this other one, I have A on top, G on bottom, F on top, H on bottom. So the relative is if I'm comparing this one to this one, which one is in the same relative position. So right here, angle A is relative to angle E. D is relative to angle G. B is in the same position as angle F, and angle C is in the same position as angle H. So I'm just going to put a couple examples here at the bottom. So some corresponding angles that we do have is angle A and angle E. And then we have angle F and angle B. And these are also congruent. These pairs are. Okay, so if you look on the back side of this page, okay, we have another example. It says, use what you know about parallel lines and transversals to label each of the missing angles in the picture below. Notice that when parallel lines are crossed by a transversal, any two pairs of the angles formed will either be congruent or supplementary. Okay? So when I'm looking at this image here, okay, I notice that this angle right here is 75, okay? And I also notice that this angle plus this angle that's right next to it, when they are added together, they create this straight angle or this straight line. So these two angles are supplementary to each other. That means if I add this angle and this angle together, they will equal 180 degrees. So in order for me to find this angle right here, I'm going to do 180 degrees minus 75 to find the missing angle measurement. And when I subtract them, I get 105 degrees. So this angle is 105 degrees. Furthermore, when I look at it, okay, if this angle is 105 and this angle, they create this straight line, so this one plus this angle would also equal 180 degrees. So if I know that this angle is 105, I know that this bottom one has to be 75 because 105 plus 75 equals 180. Same thing here. This angle and this angle equal a straight line, so I know that it's also going to be 105 degrees. Another way that you could think about it is that these two are vertical angles, which means that they are opposite from each other, so that these two have to be congruent. Same thing with these two. Then I'm going to think about some corresponding angles. Okay, so corresponding angles, same relative position. So in this right here, the relative position for this angle is this right here. So this angle has to be 75 degrees, and the relative position for this angle is right here. So this has to be 105 degrees. And then I can do the same process over again. I have 105, 75. So my congruent angles are these right here. So what you're going to do for the rest of this page is you're going to work on some of these practice problems. Use these notes that we took to help you answer the questions on the rest of this page.